Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, and the IYT. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. If you like these videos, go to my website, sign up, it's free, or click down here in the right-hand bottom corner and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, guys, so let's get right into the daily SPY. And look at this, 120 million, and we're selling off. I always tell you guys, watch volume, watch volume. Picked up pretty good in the morning. We were starting to sell. NVIDIA was starting to go. And here we are almost by gap fill, right around 243.28. But watch the, this is gap window. This is gap fill down here at, say, about 242. Might even come back down in here and then maybe slingshot. But remember, every time we get these little sell-offs, they got us conditioned that it's going to go right back up. So we'll watch how this area holds. If it gets the gap window, and it's got to hold this trend line. Remember, that's the one we've been talking about for a while, guys. But still in an upper range. We're back below the 20 and the 50, a little bit weak. Still above the 200, okay. I still think right in here, gap fill, low pivot, 231.49 or so. I think that's where we could be heading. But guys, let's see what we get tomorrow. NVIDIA was down a little bit. I think we'll see a little bit of selling in the morning. I think support will hold in. Maybe we do go to gap fill and then we get the bounce. But this was a little bit, not the worst, not the best. Well, we end up 1.4, what was this? 1.41% on the day. So nothing crazy, but you got to watch these big red bar days. You got to see what it does on Friday's close, and I want to see what it does in the beginning of next week, and then we'll have to reevaluate this one, guys. We'll see on the weekly close tomorrow, see what happens on Friday. NVIDIA down, I think we'll get a little selling, but we'll have to see, guys. It's still the markets. It's still, you know, Wall Street. So let's see if we get by the dip mentality coming in tomorrow, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, that was a pretty good sell day today. You know, we brought out, how many days? 2-3 weeks. We wiped out pretty much in one day. We get another sell, guys, we'll be down in here. And if it really starts going, I'm telling you, right there, gap fill, you got a couple pivots. I'm not sure, you know, you got some areas. I still think we're going to the November lows, if you ask me. But we'll see. This trend line up here is holding. That's going to be the area. If we get above that and you're bullish, you got to go to 250 and then just keep this thing going, guys. If it goes up, you know, 260, 265, if they could keep this train going. But it's got to come back, buy the dip. Remember, this is a pretty good bullish pattern. They fail. Sometimes the other side, downside, could be worse. Just like if a bearish pattern fails, the upside could be worse. I don't care if it's a bear or a bullish flag or a bearish flag. Either way, guys, bullish patterns fail, it's usually brutal to the downside. Bearish pattern fails, it's usually brutal to the upside, you know. So, but we'll watch some retrace areas in here. We'll look at the weekly close, and we'll go into more detail on Friday or maybe Saturday's reviews. Look at this, though, guys. IWM, what did we talk about for weeks? You know, this thing was curling up, 200 MA. Here we are. If this does not bounce here, here's your big trend line, too. This has to bounce here, guys. Not that I'm not taking the trade long. I am short in the IWM, so I'm riding that. Hopefully, I could get back down to 132. And then it sets up and it really unloads. Here's your November low, guys, 115. I don't know if we'll get there, but here we are. Remember the range. Couldn't crack through. I mean, even 1, 2, 3, 4 couldn't make it, and straight down. Great support, trend lines. You got the big trend line here. It almost has to. I think we'll go down maybe tomorrow or hold kind of flat. We'll see. But I've been posting stuff. If NVIDIA starts to go down, guys, step aside. We'll be going down here real quick. But again, see IWM. We could get a bounce off the 200. Bulls, you got to get that bounce. You got to get back above these trend lines, start filling some gaps, and start moving up. Bottom line, great support right here, guys. But, you know, here's some good support down here around 135, 134.31. So watch for this. You know, buy the dip. This is where you would do it. But for me, I would wait a little bit lower if you're going to try to go long. What I'll do, maybe get some calls. But if it starts cracking that area, and especially if it cracks 132.44, you know you're coming down here. So let's see what happens. Let's see what type of pattern. Again, I like to see a little more consolidation before we fell. Let me tell you, look at that. 3 days down into good support. Man, it's got to bounce. It's almost like NVIDIA should have had good earnings, so this thing could definitely get above this and back into this area. Put it this way, guys. Grandma has a lot of work to do tomorrow, especially with this guy. Remember, We always talk about the IWM and the IYT lagging. What's this doing, guys? It's already leading the way down, and then, let's go back to the Qs. So that's been leading the way down. Look, the Qs just starting. What do we talk about here? Inside bar, bearish pattern. Still bullish above all the MAs. Bearish stance here, though. Macro bull, micro bear. Micro bear starting to play out, but still a tall task for these markets to come down, guys. I got to see it. Number one thing, if you stuck around this video, watch the volume tomorrow. If we get, 50 plus million in the first half hour, then I think we're going to dump. If we get the same bull crap, 10 million shares in the first half hours, 5 million, if it comes out light volume, they'll probably just hold it up, maybe try to get it back above the moving averages on all these time frames. Look where everything's at now, guys, getting below the 50 and the 20. It was just like chopping around here for 2.5 weeks, and then one day, takes out 3 weeks of just grinding? One day, guys. And if we go down one more, we might wipe out 2.5 months in 2 days, 3 days. It's going to be interesting. Remember, 200 MA, guys, 200 MA. All right, let's go to the DIA. DIA, same thing. We got to this area, 220. Remember, we talked about 210, 215, 220, 225, all the big round numbers, and then you had the trend line up in this area here too, if this were to keep going. We had a little bit of a tail. The volume wasn't the best, but it's like, all right, well, for the bears, it's like, all right, we'll take what they're going to give us, but let's see if it grinds. Remember, grinded, great bear or bullish pattern, kind of popped. This was, if it would have stayed down in here, maybe, but it's like, let's pop it up and keep it above that 20, and then it just stalled out again, killing. Everyone's writing puts here, killing the puts right here, and then you got to get out of them and then blast off. Little tail right down. Still, this one's still above all the MA, so it's still a little bit strong. We had a lot of runners in this one, like BA, Goldman Sachs, Apple. So you got to watch those components in the Dow, being only 30 stocks or what have you in there. Guys, it's been a long day today, let me tell you. I'm doing a video at 8 o'clock in Arizona. Jeez. So we're above the MAs here, holding strong. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I mean, honestly, they got to hold these markets up, period. People are getting a little bit, with Korea and all that stuff. Guys, just follow the markets, see what happens here. But the Dow, still in a strong stance. This one's not below the 20 and the 50. This one's doing fine. But let's see what happens tomorrow going into next week. Next week as well, Options X, guys. The fun continues. And then let's look at the IYT. Man, when we had this big red bar, we talked about that big red bar inside consolidation. You're at the lower end of the range here. You're below the 20 and the 50, and now we close below the 200. Remember, we had the targets on most of these stocks, or ETFs, whatever you want to play, on the daily going to the 200 moving average. This one's there already. I think we can easily go down to double bottom here and then possibly lower. You got an area around 150, 151 as well. Now, if this pattern fails, remember, bearish patterns fail, you're going to move faster to the upside then. Bottom line, bulls, you got to get above the MAs again and start shooting, fill the gap, and then fill the gap up here and then maybe make a run for the all-time highs again. So you got to see a good retrace, but look at this, 618 and the 200 moving average, and you got a little pivot with gap fill, guys. This is a big area of support. So, and if you count it, the trend line is down here, guys. That's going to be your main one, around 157 or so. You have this one, but it's going through price, so I don't like it that much, but there is some support in there and resistance going back into it, but it came up, went right back down. Remember, IWM, IYT lagging, never good for the markets. They talk, that theory's over. Keep an eye on this stuff. These things end up down here, and the SPY's up in here somewhere on the chart. Next thing you know, SPY's going to be going, brrr. But we're coming in support. Let's see if this thing can move up, or is this little bearish pattern start to play out and this thing moves down. Big area to hold. You got to hold this double bottom at 163.97. If that cracks, then you're going to have some gaps to fill. And that's why they gap this stuff up, folks. Gap, 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 gap. So there's gap fills all the way down, all the way to double bottom. So, keep the support going. Hopefully the light volume comes back in and they can jam it right back up again. So buy the dip mentality strong in these markets, guys. So just hold out with that stuff and just wait for the good areas right now. Hopefully you guys are short with us, and so far so good. These indexes come in, guys. We could get a nice pullback in the markets, but keep an eye on volume. Like I always say, today it was a little bit better in the SPY. We sold off a little bit, and let's see what Friday brings. We did have NVIDIA, like I said earlier in the video. That's on deck. It looks like it was down a little bit after hours, but let's see what the action they give it, and let's look for areas of support on that that equity as well. All right, guys, thanks again for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and don't forget to subscribe down here in the right-hand bottom corner to my YouTube channel. All right, guys, thanks again. Really do appreciate it. God bless. See you on the charts.